Tatum the finish. It is Banner 18. The mission commanding is mission accomplished.
But okay, let's jump into some of the prospects here. And
Sure.
I said this earlier on, I'm so new to these guys, so I mostly want to hear from you. But there's one guy that you had in common with Tyler Rucker of No Ceilings NBA, who was the other person we had on earlier in this episode, and that's Ryan Kalkbrenner. I also tweeted out to Celtics fans that follow me, who are you most excited about? And this guy's name came up like 35 times. So why is he so tied right now as a prospective Celtics prospect? I saw you had him at 29, so he may or may not be available. But what do you like about him? What do you think about him as a potential fit in Boston?
Well, first, he's massive. He's 7'1" with a 7'6" wingspan, 260 pounds. He's 23 years old. So he's a guy that you would expect can play very early in his career on his rookie scale contract. And for Boston, I mean, look, KP, who knows? Who knows what it's going to look like with him moving forward? And Al Horford at his age, also an unrestricted free agent. Who knows with him? And so I know like Boston has like other solid bigs on the roster, Hornet especially, but ultimately like you still need more bigs. And with Kalkbrenner, the size, the rim protection that he offers as more of a kind of classic style drop defender, but offensively, I just think the dude is a fit. He not only is a type of guy that can do the rim running stuff, screen and roll, force gravity at the rim because he's a lob threat, but also he's got some connective passing. He's like good at kick out passes, and he in college he's going to be back to the basket, kicking out. Boston wouldn't necessarily use him in that role, but I think it displayed his feel as a passer and DHOs, back to the basket, short roll situations, and plus with him, like there's no guarantee he becomes a shooter in the NBA, but he did extend his range over his years in college. He became a guy that made a little bit over 30% of his threes on a low volume, but he's got okay touch, around 70% from the free throw line, solid touch near the rim, and he's flashed the jumper. I think Kalkbrenner is one of those guys that even if the jumper never works out, he's got the tools to be a long-term pro in the NBA. And then with the jumper, it's like, well, suddenly things get really, really interesting with him, with what he could be in the long term.
Do you like the Luke Hornet comparison for him?
I mean, I think it's interesting because Hornet was shooting threes, early in his career and in college too. And then he, doesn't need to anymore. He's not asked to anymore because of everything else he's good at. So I think it's a solid comp. If you're comparing personalities, they're total opposites. Kalkbrenner is like a quiet, stoic guy. Hornet would be the best media figure of all the players if he wanted to be.
Yeah.
If he wanted to do like that sideline stuff, you see some of the guys like Jared McCain doing now. So I think I bring that up because I think the personality aspect does matter when you're talking about how they fit within a team and how that manifests for them on the court. Like Hornet is like pure energy. And even just the Hornet closeout, that type of thing. Kalkbrenner is like your more laid back, traditional big man, quiet and strong, and plays his role, but he's not like that energizer type like Hornet is anytime he's on the floor or anytime he's in any room.
Do you think he'll be available for the Celtics to pick right now? Like, is it pretty 50-50?
I'd say 50-50. I mean, I go with somebody like him at his age, like what do teams always do every year? These older guys end up falling into the 30s and 40s. But with Kalkbrenner, I do think you look at some of the teams drafting in that range, there are teams that could use a big. And so, if Boston did indeed want him at 28, you got to worry about ahead of them, Brooklyn at 26 and 27. They have nothing on their roster except for Nick Claxton. The Clippers, the Thunder at 24. They obviously have Hartenstein, they have Chet Holmgren, but Jalen Williams, maybe over the long term, finding another big behind him. And Indiana, Miles Turner's a free agent this year. Isaiah Jackson, their injured backup, is a free agent as well as Thomas Bryant. So there's teams that could use a big in the 20s, but I think at his age, he's, I'd lean towards he's available at 28 than not. So maybe we'll call it 60-40.
Awesome. Okay. And then this is not a guy you had on your list, but I'm just curious because this is a guy that a lot of people have brought up to me, is Danny Wolf from Michigan. I guess not the most traditional big, but was he not on your list because you don't think he'll be available, or do you think that he's just not as good of a fit in Boston?
I'm just not a Danny Wolf guy. I'm just not a Danny Wolf guy. I see everything that everybody else sees. He's nearly 7 feet tall. He's sensational passer. Like you pull up Danny Wolf highlights, it's like, oh my God, this 7-foot dude.
I just did that. It was a fun watch.
It's so
It was a fun
fun.
watch.
He's like, if I'm ranking funnest players to watch, he's in my top 5. But I just don't think the flash has been matched by substance with him. Like the shooting ability, you see, highlights of him taking step back 3-pointers, but he's only a 65% guy from the free throw line, only made 34% of his threes in his college career. He's super streaky, super inconsistent. And so, is he just, a big dude who's trying to be a guard and trying to take those shots? Well, he definitely has the playmaking. He definitely has the passing ability. No doubts there. No doubts about that at all. But the shooting is just so critical with his style of play because he's not a rim protector. He's not even like a super switchable defender either. So at his size, he's a big, but he's more like kind of just a big guard. With his skill set, and it's very important for guards to shoot, and I'm not totally sold that shot's for real with him.
That's fair. I was talking about this with Jack Simone yesterday because we were going over all the prospects, and I feel like he's one of those guys that somebody's going to believe in. Like 1 out of the 30 general managers is going to be like, I see the vision. So I feel like he'll get picked earlier than expected.
He's a swing. Like he's a big swing, right? And like I think it's worth it for some teams. I don't love it for Boston at 28 or 32 personally, but for other teams, yeah, for sure. I would go for